Right, this is the second journey of the day. I'm starting from a parallel parked situation. So I'm going to reverse quickly to see how close I can get that car behind. That's close enough. I've got some room in front of me now, so I'm going to pull out. So I've covered countryside driving. Now I am going to be going on main roads into town. There's probably going to be a lot of traffic. So that's what we'll cover today, main roads and traffic. And chavs. Which is one of the major routes into Edinburgh. It's a giveaway, so we're going to come to a stop because we can't see what's to the right, and we're clear. No, we're not. There we go. Minor technical hitch there. So this is my second drive for the day. I am going into town, so this is going to be covering main roads, and probably there's going to be some traffic, so driving in traffic. At the moment I'm just making my way through a small town, and as I do so, as you can see, there's lots of people walking around. It's the tail end of rush hour. So, yeah, always watching for people coming out of nowhere, always watching for lights changing and blah, blah, blah. Away you go, that's not 31. There you go. To be honest, I think those sensors are completely unreliable. Traffic blocking one side of the road, not traffic, with parked cars blocking one side of the road, you need to worry about cars. Oncoming traffic is basically going to be over the white line, so you need to keep as far to the left as you can, unless you're trying to turn, which I'm currently not. I've got nothing around. Let's clean up the window quickly. I thought it was summer, so I don't need to bother cleaning the window because there's no filth in it, but then there was this horrible rainstorm out there. So. Right, red lights, and I'm now joining onto the A7, which is the main road I'm going to be on for a wee while. So, let's wait for the traffic to clear. One coming after the Land Rover, and we're good to go. into another town now. Just following the traffic ahead for the moment. Stopping for the roundabout. As I said on the tech demo, my normal tactic for roundabouts is don't even look to see what's oncoming until that car, so that 4x4 that's in front of me. Once that's cleared the roundabout, then you can start paying attention. Otherwise you have a slight risk of crashing into someone. Even though there's a green light, I don't have much of it. You can see, I could see through the window that the traffic was stopped. I guess the only point I really need to hammer home during these videos is pay attention. Absolutely everything I have seen, with the exception of intentional malice, everything I've seen on the roads that's caused a problem has been because someone hasn't been paying attention. So with driving experience comes various cues that you learn. You know, once you know the roads well enough, you're going to know roughly when a car should be braking, when the lights go, blah 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 blah. But if you're in unfamiliar places, it's always important to be looking around you. Like, one of my favourite tactics is that. Look past the traffic that's in front of you to see what's stopped and what's not, because you don't want to risk them suddenly stopping, because there's no guarantee they're paying attention. They might slam on the anchors hard, and if you're not quite with it, and yeah. So it's important to always know what's ahead of you, beyond the car that's in front of you. It's easier said than done, especially with like vans or other large vehicles. But do your best, that's all you can do. So we're now into national speed limit, that's the signs ahead. Past it now, probably not going to get nearly close to that just because of traffic. A wee bit closer than I should have been. Roundabout there has been reduced to a single lane, so it's quite important to make sure that the traffic's not coming towards you. That's a nice thing about dual lane roundabouts or higher. You can, admittedly other cars don't normally stick to them, but you can get a good idea of where they're intending to go based on what lane they're in. When it's been dropped down to one lane, it's quite a bit harder to do. There is an overtaking lane to my right here, so while I'm driving down this, long boring as it is, I'm always paying attention to see if anyone's coming, because a lot of people might try and overtake and then realise that they're trying to go straight ahead, which of the three lanes is the middle one, which is where I'm going. So paying attention to the Land Rover, and he's gone. Now I'm looking, and now I'm clear. Speed now, you can see there's a bit of traffic. We're now at the tail end of rush hour. So hopefully where I'm going it's not going to be gridlocked. That's going to be really, really bloody annoying if it is. We're not quite up to full national speed limit just because of limited by traffic. That's probably to be expected for this time of day. Good to go. I really need to find out what's rattling over that side of my car. I've been doing it for months and it's getting on my nerves. We're not up to full speed, but we're going into 6th gear to try and conserve what fuel we can, because I am not made of money. Plus my car has been absolutely hemorrhaging petrol lately, which is the other reason I'm hoping that there's not a lot of gridlock traffic, because trying to stop start, it kills your petrol. Now we're going to be going straight ahead over this roundabout, and this is the moment of truth where indicate on and off of roundabouts. I hate when people don't do it. You're left sitting there at a time that you could have gone because someone was pulling off, but for safety, you can't just pull off. And then it turns out they've not been indicating because they're a colossal moron. Basically just read your highway code. If I could have one dream, that's what it would be. Make everyone actually just follow the highway code. Okay. This is a road you can't delay like that on. This is going to go red, and I've just gone through the junction line. This is so much to do with knowing your area. You should always be having a constant look out through your mirrors and looking ahead to see if there's any emergency vehicles coming. But knowing that this is one of the major routes in and out of town, out of the hospital specifically. Gore Bridge, so he's not going that direction. Nice. What was I saying? Yeah, with this being the main route in and out of town from the hospital, you get a lot of ambulances obviously coming to and from, so it's important to keep a very close eye on ambulances. If you've watched my emergency services in Scotland series, you will be quite familiar with this stretch in particular because I come across a lot of ambulances here. Must be the timing of the lights or something. We're down at 40, there's not much need to brake, just let your speed drop. Slightly uphill. Red traffic lights ahead. I'm gonna. Far off. Again, because coming to a complete halt and then kicking off again is a lot more fuel intensive than if you can just keep the car going. It's always nice when you can keep the car going. Now normally I'd be in the bus lane here, but because it is the time of day where the bus lane is in force, it's currently 6:15 and the bus lane doesn't end until 6:30, I can't go in it. There's a red light. I had no one behind me, I was a little bit late indicating there. Yes, a lot of people don't know this, but as per the highway code, you must stay in the leftmost lane unless you are making a turn or overtaking a slower vehicle. So if I was turning to the right, I would have stayed in the right lane regardless. However, going straight ahead, if I could, I would have been in the left-hand lane. And a lot of people don't know that, and you get into some dangerous situations where cars will start backing up and trying to pull across, not indicating what direction they're going because they've been out of the bus lane, and it's just, I've had a lot of near misses that way. And I've even had police cars that have stayed in the rightmost lane and then they've cut right in front of me at the last minute without indicating because they wanted to go straight ahead and they were in the wrong lane. It would be, like I say, it would be nice if people paid attention to their highway code, and that way they are familiar with bus lane rules. Now here's an important junction, because if you get an ambulance behind you, there's little room for you to manoeuvre. I've done it before where I've had to go into the hatch markings off to the right to let an ambulance in to the left. Again, that's just something that whenever you're coming to a stop, you need to be prepared to move away again for the emergency services. He is rattling down that road ahead of us. And I guess I'm a keen admirer everything I try and do when I'm out and about is make life easier for them in whatever little way that I can manage. So yeah, literally, whenever you stop at junctions, or even if you're travelling at low speeds, just think about what if an ambulance comes in front of me, what if an ambulance comes behind me, where could I go, where are the people around you likely to go, and I suppose it's a lot to think about, but if you're at traffic light, you've got the time to think about it. It's a little bit fast going down that hill. Oopsies. I was going to say it's a learner driver. I hope not, because she's the only one in the car. Make that against the law. Got them to pull out in front of me like one. That car. I need to put my indicator on so I'm not crossing the white line. I will have to put my indicator on for this one. Buses are a thing you need to watch out for because they're stopping all the time because they're buses. This corner in front of me is a particularly nippy one because the bus stops right on the corner and it's a blind corner. Yeah, you don't want that. Well, let's talk about an ambulance. We've got one in front of us. It's not blue lights, it's not an emergency call. Sometimes you can flash them to let them out. However, the motorcyclist behind me hasn't been paying the greatest amount of attention to the roadworks a little minute ago, so the roadworks came backing into me. So we got good attention. Now again, I'm going to be turning to the second left up here, so I would normally be in the left-hand lane, but again, bus lane enforcement is on. Stay here, and I know for a fact there is no buses or taxis. You would, if you were in traffic, about now I would start indicating. You can't put your wheels across the solid white line, which now ends here, so I can now come across. Check it anyway. There's no taxis, there's no buses coming up underneath you. So I'm golden. And we've got a cyclist ahead, so if the traffic clear him, that's something I'm going to watch out for. I was quite close when I got the red light, but if you can safely brake for it, probably should. Generally the mantra I go for. Never speed up for a yellow light, that is definitely a horrific practice. And as some of my other driving standard videos shows, don't go through a red light, because just don't. Honestly, like, it's so obvious what's wrong with it. And yet I've seen it happen so much. Being people not paying attention or people being completely fucktarded. Going off to the right. I think you can hear an ambulance. See it though. Not much I can do about it when I am anyway. So for those of you who don't know your highway code, the general rule of advice for standing traffic is to leave. Well, I think I don't actually know exactly what it is. Yeah, well, I don't know. It's about half a car length. 2 meters maybe, between you and the car in front, and that gives you enough room to manoeuvre around it if it were to break down. The general advice for me in a hatchback or saloon car is where the horizon of the bonnet would meet, that's about suitable for stopping. Sorry, just watching that bus. That's an appropriate stopping distance. That gives you enough room to manoeuvre around it if needs happen to be. We're coming up to a red light ahead, looking past the ambulance. I don't know how it is in other cities, but in Edinburgh in particular, you get a lot of taxis and loading vans stopping in bus lanes. So if you're running side by side with the bus, always make sure that they're not trying to pull out. My general advice is, even though I am slightly alongside it, I'm at the back quarter of the bus, so if he started indicating now, I would slow up to let him by. That's my advice. Technically speaking, if his lane is blocked, he has to stop, but there is a difference between technical rule and then courtesy. So how are we looking? Fine. You can't see how close it gets on the road sometimes. It's pretty uncomfortable sometimes. But yeah, that's my little rule of advice. Rule of thumb. I have no idea what I'm saying. Crikey, this journey's been going on for 21 minutes. I'm going to be late. Oh, that brings you on to another talking point. Lateness. Just because you're late doesn't mean you should rush. In the roads, you always need to be paying as much attention as you can, and if you are focusing on how... Oh, this is going to be tight. We're good. Clear. Yeah, what was I saying? If you're running late and you're constantly looking at your clock, I actually have it on at the moment. Normally on my dashboard I have the clock turned off, so that if I wanted to see the time I would need to look all the way over there. I actually have it on this time, but that's probably good advice, because it means you're not constantly going, oh shit, 4 minutes, 4 minutes, 3 minutes, 3 minutes. You don't want to be doing that in a car, because then you start rushing, then you start not paying attention, you start fretting, and that's when people start crashing, and there's no point in rushing to your destination if you're dead at the side of the road. We're in the bus lane slightly just because we're undertaking traffic. You are allowed to do that. Same again, I'm going to cut in. The bus got a bit close behind me, so I was just checking to see how I could pull in, which I could. Now I'm staying at the bus lane because I still can't drive in bus lanes, although if I'm any later I will be able to. Flashing yellow lights means that you can go across the flashing yellow light if no one is crossing at that particular moment. And here is an ambulance coming. I'm instinctively, oh no, it's a police car? I instinctively turned down the get off the road, pedestrians. Jesus. There's an ambulance on the paramedic. Sorry, I was just, the pedestrians were right in the middle of the road and they just stood dead. I could be flattened. Anyway, people are dumb. I know I have completely lost track of what I was talking about, so yeah. Moving on. We're now in the city centre, so we've got a lot of pedestrians going around. There's going to be a lot more stopping and starting. Not so much because traffic's actually surprisingly light. Oh, they've removed the bus stop. But just because there are so many pedestrians that lights are constantly going to be going. Good. Green. Paying attention to his indication because you know he's going to slow down. And then cyclists. Driving in town is you do sometimes get cyclists them is a tough job. I always get out of town. It's fine because most of the cyclists are going long distances, so they're normally competent. But in town, it's a guessing game. So you give them, I give them a wider berth than you would normally give cyclists. In this country, Jesus. Again, that was another hard break-in for a red light, but if you've got the time to stop, then do. And I did. So now we're going to be here for a